thoughts? What if episode 2?
It was really good. It was really good. And it had so many like what moments in this episode. Gotta say that was I'm still like, you know, it's really good. That's all I can say.
I thought it was streets ahead of the last one, just in terms of the WTF factor just was throughout the whole thing. I love the characters that were in it. It was a lot more reimagining going on here than there was in the last one. Last one was kind of like a beat for beat replay of Captain America. This one just took off in its own direction, and as I said right from the start, it's pretty much what I wanted. Let's go crazy. Let's do this with Thanos. Let's do this with the Collector. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I hated it. I did not enjoy it at all. I was like, okay.
What?
It was
no.
It was so lacking in personal flaws. I was like, okay, so in this alternate universe, T'Challa is perfect. He's perfect, and so forth. Everybody else becomes subsequently perfect. Nothing interested me. There was no stakes in the game. This may as well have just been Candyland. We went to Candyland heaven, where everything is nice and sweet, and we're dancing with the Care Bears, and everybody loves everybody.
No,
and there's nothing that can ever go. I hated it. I really thought, I was like, I went to sleep, and I was like, I don't know what I feel on this. Especially when it came to the ending, I hated it that much. There was zero consequences. There was zero stakes. There was zero, it didn't even make, oh my God. We're about to break this down, because I can break this down as to how much I really dislike.
All right, off you go then.
All right. I actually started off well with the idea of T'Challa being T'Challa Star-Lord being praised, because I did like the fact that he would be a more engaging outlaw, quote quote, than Peter Quill. Like, he's just a more adept person. And so whenever Hantu or Hantu, what's his name? Hantu's character was for him. I was like, yo, that's dope, right? Because there's going to be at least in this element, there is going to be more emphasis on the outlaw as much as there's going to be Robin Hood complex, right? You can live with that. And then I was like, okay, all right, we're going into this. The Ravengers are cool. I can get that. And then whenever what's her name?
Gamora.
Gamora. Nebula came through.
Sorry.
And I'm just like, all right, okay, there's something, but if this is an outlaw, they're outlaws in a sense. They're Robin Hoods in a sense. There has to be somebody that is after them. Who is their overall villain that is after them? But every time we continued with the episode, it was just more and more people that loved him. And it was more and more people that just make him more public. And it's more and more. And you're no longer an outlaw. You're just a hero. Who is it that you are stealing from? Who did you steal from the orb? Oh, you saved an area from the Kree. Bro, we don't see the Kree going after you. And then you made Thanos. Episode. You made Thanos oh my God. I was like, okay, all right. I can understand maybe making him an ally, but you made him Apache. Oh, well, he told me about how I can be more resourceful, and I just thought about being into it. That genocide, it was random. It's efficiency, and it's like I get no emphasis of villainousness. Like, I don't get Thanos who's still hurt from the loss of Titan. I don't get a Thanos who is still morally questionable. But yes, he can convince him from not removing half the universe, but you don't convince him to be a complete and utter opposite of who he is. Where's all the anger? Where's all the hurt? Like, I get that by him not destroying places, people like literal guy who took the picture with him don't lose their perceivable family, you know, but at the same time, who is this man's enemy? Even with the Collector, it wasn't really an enemy. It was just like a bad heist, and even that didn't feel like it had enough stakes in it. Like, I'm just like, who does it? Like, what? How are you an outlaw? And everybody, like, I hated it so much. He was too like, it felt patronizing. At that point, I was just like, you guys were patronizing. I know they didn't even know that Chadwick Boseman was where he was in his sickness when they recorded it, and especially whenever they drew up the animation for it. So I can't even be like, well, they were trying to just pander because after Chadwick passed, you know, they wanted to make. No, the recordings were all done. These are under his time. But it was just like, nah, T'Challa's perfect. Even, like, Black Panther is not even perfect in Black Panther. Like, there's at least a flaw. The man has leadership. He questions what his purpose is. They went back to Wakanda, and the father did not even go, oh, you're the guy who stole my son. Oh, we're about to go F you up. I don't care that you brought it back. We live by the factor of, yo, there's an eye. There's not even the idea of like, yo, T'Challa had to sit down with his father and explain the fact that he disappeared for 20 freaking years, 30 years. But no, everything is hunky-dory. We're all eating dinner together. We're all happy. I hate it. There was nothing. I can't even feel good about the fight scenes. It was boring to me because nobody was on the line. Nobody. Who wants this stupid candy cane world? even Peter Quill's dad coming in was still a happy-dory area. Like, unless Peter Quill becomes the biggest evil, it just doesn't make sense. It's just so aggravating.
No, he's on fire. He's on fire. The thing is, I can't disagree with most of what you said, if not 95% of what you said, right? You're right in that everyone loves T'Challa. He doesn't have a conceivable weakness in the whole thing. He never has kind of a character arc. He's pretty much perfect throughout. The Thanos bit,
walking down the golden pathway.
but I also will admit that I just didn't care. I just ran with it. I can't tell you what. I mean, again, you're right, but I saw it twice. I've seen it twice now, and both times I was just prepared to go with it. The one thing, there are a couple of things that kind of bothered me though, and you did touch on them, is that there were definitely personalities there that were very far removed from the previous Marvel versions. So you've mentioned one is Thanos. Like, Thanos is, in this one, he's kind of one of the gang who just rolls along with everyone and has a good time. You know, previously he's the man, like he's the boss.
Yeah.
And he is, you know, he wouldn't just follow anyone around. But then when I watched it again, and I saw, particularly when I had a good look at the Collector, you know, his physicality has changed. I guess the way I thought about it then was, this is a different dimension. These are not the same people that we've seen them previously. This is another dimension. Just like last week, I talked about how Howard Stark was very different, and I think you got that so was Bucky. You know, they were more jovial.
Yeah.
There was Jaimin in this one. You know, you're Star-Lord. Oh my gosh, I love you. I reconciled that part of the episode just to put it down to, we're not seeing the same Thanos. We are not seeing the same Howard Stark. These are different people. But having said that, what you said is right. They were looking for some Genesis thing. He got locked up in the cage at one point. He gets out pretty quickly. Everyone's happy, and yeah, I mean you're not wrong, but I just got caught up in it, and it didn't worry me.
Yeah. I agree with a lot of what Gift said. Like what, like with Jason, I just ran with it. It's a what if. And it made me happy because it reminded me of what's that show I was talking about? That football show?
Ted Lasso. Yes.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of Ted
overly
Lasso.
Ted Lasso-y. It was
Made me
so
feel
Ted Lasso.
great.
From the makers of Ted Lasso.
Yeah, because I like Ted Lasso and kind of felt like Ted Lasso. I ran with it. I love the cameo. It didn't make sense that he can just tell Thanos that there are other ways, but everything after that sort of made sense. So if Thanos didn't destroy half of the universe and started trying to gather the stones, it also made sense that Korath would be the way he is. Thanos wouldn't have hired Ronan the Accuser. Nebula wouldn't have been treated as bad. Everything is chill, and that's why Drax is now a bartender, and we don't see any Gamora. But that all made sense.
Yeah.
And I just found it really funny. I think it was like this episode is like, how the first episode was more like it's a really a different, just a bit different.
Yeah. This one.
But this one's just shook the bag.
Yeah, it was out there.
And see what popped out.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely. I talked about how I was hoping that lots of the shows you're going to see were a result of it. Getting the writers getting drunk and stoned and stuff, and just throwing.
Exactly.
That's how this one felt. Like it felt like, let's have Thanos, be a Joker, and let's have let's beef up the Collector. Let's put Howard the Duck in there and having a couple of beers, whatever.
Let's sexy up Nebula and be like, look what happened if she doesn't get replaced by a bunch of robot parts for needing to fight her sister,
But there's always been like fans of Nebula who always thought she was hot, even with her robot parts.
Right. I mean, that's any comic book woman, basically. So that makes sense to me. I guess for me, it wasn't so much of the thing. I could have lived with the shakeup. I could live with everybody working together, but there was no balance off to it. Even with the Collector, like I didn't feel like the Collector's characteristic changed significantly from what we see in the current MCU timeline. It's just him who's just run amok. I just saw what we would have normally seen, but he just had more access. The Collector was never a good person to begin with. He was always morally ambiguous. So he seemed like he would be the morally ambiguous one, but he didn't feel like an overarching lord. Like they said that he runs a region, but he didn't feel like he ran a region. He felt like a guy who just likes to basically reverse what happened to Nebula. Instead of it being, I add parts and take parts because I am failing, I add parts and because I am just curious. Like whenever they implied that he killed Korg for his arm, like it was something that I would expect from the Collector in the Sacred timeline, but he's just what do you call it? He's just now getting a chance to just run much further than he gets a chance than you normally do. So everything is still a deal. Everything is still amplified, but it's just like you're not the overall. You're still not the power in it. And even with the Celestials concept, like it didn't make me feel as if we took as if we set what is the boundaries of this world. And again, without the stakes, without real stakes, all the happiness felt just empty. And I think that's what bothered me the most.
Let's remind our friends to please click on the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you know when we have new videos out.
Subscribe.
Subscribe!
Die.